We have the special privilege of hearing from somebody that you all know and respect and admire, and that's somebody who is truly a global champion for the environment and for human well-being, and that's Achim Steiner. Now I know he's joined me in welcoming Achim Steiner, the global champion for the environment and human well-being. Welcome, my friend.
Dear friends, good evening. Welcome to this wonderful occasion here. And actually there's immense silence, but it may not last. I know I was put last because I may have the loudest voice to shout tonight, but I'm not sure that will help. Before I say a couple of words about the awardees and also SEED in itself, let me just pick up the thread that a couple of my previous speakers also touched on. We are here in New York for the Commission on Sustainable Development. And as has become to some extent a ritual in the process of the CSD, we unite many different sectors, and particularly under the themes that the CSD now operates. We also try and bring value added to the work that is being done from the kinds of initiatives that the awardees this evening represent, right through to the bigger and grand schemes and designs that we negotiate in summits. I have to echo a little bit, but I think it is an echo that I would address to all governments participating in the CSD here, that the price of failure has become too low, and that the responsibility of governments for the concept of sustainable development that is enshrined in the whole purpose of the CSD has become too easy to risk on negotiations that sometimes introduce issues that are in high danger of taking us far back to where the science is meant to have taken us over the last 10 or 20 years. And I hope that in the remaining days when high-level discussions take place, and this is where our political leaders take charge of the CSD, but also exercise their responsibility of custodianship for the CSD. And not just the CSD as a venue or as a process, but the CSD as one of the symbols of 1992 in Rio, one of the symbols of the multilateral system where the strands of economic, social, environmental issues are meant to come together. And if at the end of the day, our discussions about sustainable development in the CSD take us back beyond where the social, economic, and environmental agendas have already taken us, then something fundamentally wrong is happening. And I think this is critical at a moment in time, as Olaf just referred to earlier on. We are living in the midst of a financial and economic crisis in which millions of people are losing their jobs and livelihoods, and in which the notion of sustainability to some is a distraction and to others is finally the key to liberating our economies, to move in the direction, as I think Mr. Machnik referred to just now, perhaps the third industrial revolution in one part of the world, perhaps the first sustainable livelihood revolution for others in other parts of the world. If in the multilateral system, governments and ministers and leaders in the sustainable development world cannot find a common voice at this moment, then what on earth will citizens have to look for in the multilateral processes that we are meant to be informing, supporting, guiding, but ultimately in the hands of government leaders, the responsibility to bring about meaningful decisions and also a vision. Throughout this week here, the notion of the sustainable economy, the green economy, you can call it whatever you want, efficient economy, less wasteful economy, the economy that realizes that our natural resources are not some luxury that is somehow a part of our appendix in economic terms, but rather forms the foundation of livelihoods of whole economic sectors, and ultimately also the backbone of the future of our economy. If these assets cannot be protected by the kinds of decisions and guidance that emerges from the CSD, then it is no surprise that an economic paradigm will produce crisis after crisis after crisis. And it is for that reason that I think it is worthwhile battling and arguing and torturing perhaps each other in verbal terms over some of those damn brackets that are so painful to some and so meaningful to others. Let's not forget, a bracket can mean many different things to people. To some, it may mean striking something out that is vital. To others, it is to say, not on those terms, not under these conditions, and not if you don't fulfill the other side of the bargain. I have great respect for brackets, but when you use brackets, you need to know what you're actually going to cause with those brackets or what you intend to happen. And I think in the UN, a bracket is a very meaningful expression of something. But it should never become an excuse not to ultimately be able to take those brackets away and walk out with a result. And it is for the winners of tonight that I hope that the CSD will do this. Because the irony is that while we talk about sustainability and we talk about the green economy of the future, it is already happening across the whole world. And I was listening very carefully just now when you were making your policy recommendations. They are simple, but powerful, and speak to a simple truth. There are millions of people out there who can make the green economy happen. There are in fact already millions who are trying to make it happen against all odds. It is high time that governments, government policy, private sector actually understood that the potential is endless, but it is being constrained by the very policies that are meant to ensure that we have jobs, that we have economic growth, that we have development, that we have access to energy. And that is why I think it is so important to look at the winners of tonight's Seed Awards, last year's Seed Awards, and behind them, literally millions of others who have shown, against all odds, that other ways are possible. But hell, they're having a hard time. And many of them in this financial crisis will actually lose the one straw hand that they were holding on to, because we are too late. Too late in having discovered them, too late in having found the means in terms of incentives, in terms of the kinds of policy conditions, the mechanisms, the funding, the regulations that you refer to in your policy statement to allow them to succeed. And if these seedlings, I think that somebody referred to them, if these shoots of the future of our economy are simply rolled over by what is happening right now, then where else are we going to find the jobs that we're looking for, the 50 million new job entrants every year? That is why when we talk about sustainable development, we are not talking about something that we can just continue to talk about. We're actually talking about the future of millions of people now, not in 50 years or 100 years' time. It's a bit of a serious way of addressing a very happy celebration, but I think in part what is lacking sometimes in the halls here is a deep sense of responsibility for how we in our multilateral negotiations either constrain or enable people like those who we are celebrating tonight to succeed. And I hope that the spirit of these Seed Awards, the partnerships that it has brokered over the years, including amongst UNDP, amongst IUCN, amongst UNEP, but also with our major government supporters, but particularly with the over 1,100 people who took time to submit their projects this year. If I'm correct, over 100 countries. That's an extraordinary expression of interest to be recognized and to have a chance to present unique life stories, but also success stories in the world of entrepreneurship. I hope you will enjoy this evening as much as they, I think, have enjoyed being selected as Seed awardees tonight, and maybe meet again at the next cycle. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's now, thank you Achim, thank you so much. Let's roll the slides now to see the winners for 2009 Seed Award.